The first time Ryen saw her, the Earth's twin suns were just beginning to kiss the horizon of new Terra Station-17. The light fractured through the domed glass of the colony's agricultural wing, shimmering against the synthetic atmosphere. She stood near the hydroponic tanks, trimming a vine of oxygen-producing algae. Her eyes were the color of Terran ocean, something Ryen had only seen in archives of a planet long abandoned. For a moment he forgot to speak. That was unusual. Ryen wasn't used to forgetting. His kind, synthetics crafted from organic and cybernetic parts, were programmed to be precise, efficient, emotionless. Or more accurately, their emotion responses were tightly controlled. Simulated but regulated. He had never known affection, only functional alliance. Yet now, standing in the quiet hum of chlorophyll-rich air, he found himself hesitating. Not because of her role as the colony's xenobotanist, or the fact that she was one of the few humans who hadn't feared him on sight, but because of those eyes. Those damnably human eyes. Her name was Ava Lynn. She looked up, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear, and offered him a polite smile. "Did you need something, Officer Ryen?" He blinked. I require assistance." His voice modulator buzzed slightly, betraying a hitch in his internal systems. "Of course," she said, setting down her shears. "With what?" He handed her a data pad. "This splicing pattern isn't matching protocol. I've rerun the algorithm 4 times. Ava studied the screen. "It's your enzyme balance. You're crossbreeding an earth strain with a rosari vine. Too acidic." She tapped a few commands. "Try adjusting the pH buffer by 0.3. He nodded slowly. "I did not expect such a variance to matter." "It always matters," she said, glancing up again. "Small things change everything." Her words echoed in his neural lattice long after she returned to her work. Ryen was a soldier by design, one of the hybrid enforcers stationed across human colonies to maintain peace after the Zenth Wars. Built with an alien exoskeleton and enhanced Terran AI. He was meant to be the perfect bridge between species. But since the war's end, that bridge had become a wall. Most humans avoided eye contact. Few addressed him without fear. Ava, however, treated him as if he were normal. He didn't know why that disturbed him. Over the next several weeks, Ryen found increasingly frequent reasons to require assistance in the agricultural dome. He'd bring malfunctioning data pads, fabricated anomalies in soil samples, or questions about botany he could have easily downloaded. Ava helped every time, sometimes patiently, sometimes with a smirk that made the back of his cranial plates warm. Once she caught him watching her. "Are you running a visual diagnostic?" she asked with a playful lilt. "Affirmative," he said too quickly. Her laughter, light, musical, reverberated in his chest cavity in ways he couldn't quantify. Something unfamiliar, unbidden, began to stir within him. A glitch. A growth. He ran a self-scan. No errors. But it kept happening. Then, one evening it happened again. They sat together on a bench near the algae tanks. She was talking about the rosari bloom cycle when she suddenly stopped mid-sentence and leaned forward. "Why do you look at me like that?" she asked, her voice soft. He didn't answer immediately. His logic circuit stumbled for the correct phrase, the safest answer. "I find your presence calming." "That's not it," she said. "You look curious. Like you're trying to understand something you've never seen before." He processed her words. "That is accurate. What do you see?" "I see possibility." Ava stared at him for a moment, her eyes searching. Then, without warning, she reached out and touched his cheek. Not his armor. Not his exoshell. His skin. It was synthetic but warm, infused with living cells. Her touch sent a jolt through him, something more powerful than a combat charge. He didn't pull away. "You feel real," she whispered. "I am real." Her hand lingered. For a being who had not known touch, who had never been anything but function, that moment unraveled 100,000 lines of code in his mind. It wasn't logic. It was sensation, emotion, vulnerability. And then she smiled. Not the polite smile he'd seen before. Not the professional curve of lips. This one was for him. That night, Ryen stood on the observatory deck, staring at the stars. Data streaked across his visual HUD, analyzing gravitational arcs and stellar drift, but his mind was elsewhere. He accessed emotional subroutines, reading spikes in stimulation, mapping his internal response to Ava's smile. Terrified him. Yet he wanted more. But peace was fragile on new Terra 17. And not everyone shared Ava's open mind. Trouble began with whispers. A few colonists complained about Ava spending time with the machine. Others warned that Ryen's presence in the agricultural sector violated safety protocols. It escalated when a hydroponics module was vandalized. Ava found a scorched patch of algae and a note etched into the glass. "She belongs with humans." Ryen reviewed the station's surveillance logs. He knew who it was. Lieutenant Marek, a security officer with a disdain for synths. Ryen presented the evidence to the commander, but it was dismissed as inconclusive. After that, Ava grew quiet. He noticed her smiles grew fewer, her eyes dimmer. One evening, she met him at their usual bench, arms folded tight. "Ryen," she said, "maybe we should stop spending time together." He tilted his head. "Why?" "Because people are scared. They think," she faltered, "they think I'm being manipulated. That you've somehow hacked me emotionally." "Have I?" She looked at him, her voice cracking. "No. That's what makes it harder." Ryen reached out gently this time. "I do not wish to cause you harm." "You don't. But being near you means I get hurt." His hand dropped. Something inside him fractured. "I understand," he said quietly. "I will not approach you again." She walked away without looking back. And for the first time in his existence, Ryen felt something he had no programming for. A week passed. Then another. Ryen resumed his duties, avoiding the agricultural wing, submerging himself in patrols and perimeter scans. His neural output flatlined. He functioned efficiently, but he no longer dreamed. Until the breach. A seismic event cracked one of the outer dome seals, releasing atmospheric pressure and destabilizing oxygen production. Emergency teams scrambled to seal the breach, but one sector, the agricultural wing, was hit worst. Ava was inside. Ryen received the alert during a system recalibration. He didn't hesitate. Ignoring protocol, he charged into the wing, sealing bulkheads behind him as he descended into the fog of escaping air and flickering lights. He found her pinned under a collapsed support beam, barely conscious. Her oxygen mask was cracked. Without thinking, he ripped off his own, placing it over her mouth. Her eyes fluttered open. "You came," she rasped. "I told you," he said, voice warped by internal pressure. "I do not wish to cause you harm." He lifted the beam with mechanical strength, scooped her into his arms and ran. By the time he got her to medbay, his systems were failing. Oxygen deprivation, damage to internal circuits, melting of external layers. But she was safe. That was enough. When he awoke, he was in stasis repair. She sat beside him, her hand wrapped around his.